Yesterday, the story broke about sugar making us dumb. We thought we'd get an expert opinion on that. So joining me, a neurologist with Riverside Methodist Hospital, Dr. Jeff Eubank. Dr. Eubank, thanks for the time this morning.
Good morning.
So, Doc, does sugar make us dumb?
Actually, sugar in the proper amounts makes us smart. It's actually the only fuel that the brain can use.
So it's the abuse of sugar, it's too much sugar, or not enough sugar that makes us dumb?
This study on the rats basically showed if you have too high of sugar levels, eventually your body develops a resistance to insulin, which is the hormone that drives the sugar into the cells. We know that works in the rest of the body, and this study shows that the brain is affected by that as well. So high levels of sugar over time, eventually not as much gets into the brain, and looks like the function can be altered, at least if you're a rat.
As a doctor and living in central Ohio, we are over-sugared, aren't we?
Very much so.
What is an appropriate amount of sugar in an average person's diet?
And I don't have a specific amount, but I think most of us need a well-balanced diet. The problem is all those quick snack foods and the sodas just give you that very high, sugar load, and we need a lot more, complex carbohydrates, fats, proteins, and things like that. There's just, tons of, high fructose stuff out there in the sodas and whatnot.
Yeah, and when it comes to sugars, we get it in so many different styles. What's your opinion on the high fructose corn syrup versus cane sugar? There's now, stevia is kind of popular as a sugar substitute. Where do you kind of fall on all that? Is cane sugar the best?
I think sugar in general is, it tastes good, but I think the idea is I wouldn't focus so much on sugar. I'd probably focus more on, more natural foods and things of that nature, rather than trying to figure out how to sweeten up the foods that we do have.
Yeah, and I guess it's just, you go back to the basics, like my grandparents who, had a little gentleman's farm, and, when there was stuff that was sweet to be eaten, you ate it because it was in season, but if you didn't have it, you just worked around it. Sugar from, say, a watermelon or a peach, our body uses that different than it does the sugar that we get in Pepsi and Mountain Dew, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think generally fruits, certainly there's sugar there, but if that's your main source of sugar, that's fine. The problem is the cupcake, the can of Coke and things like that is really what gets us into trouble.
So in the rat study, the study that, says sugar makes us dumb, walk us through how they did that and how they came to that conclusion.
What they did is they fed the rats, a diet high in fructose over time, and they measured their function before that, and then afterwards they found that their function declined. Another part of the study that they did is they gave omega-3 fatty acids, and they weren't actually sure why, but that seemed to prevent some of the decline in learning. So whether that affected some other part of the pathway, but the main thing that they demonstrated was that these high fructose levels made the brain operate at a decreased function.
Yeah, and I wonder, too, because it seems like so much of the sugar that we eat in our diet in this country is also paired with caffeine. You talk about chocolate. It's got both of those. Sodas have both of those, and that's increasingly, it seems people are drinking that type of beverage rather than coffee in the morning. Has anybody done any study on caffeine? It seems like caffeine kind of revs you up, but does it have impact on the brain, too?
Most of the studies on caffeine that have been coming out in the last few years, I'm happy to say for myself at least, have been positive.
Okay.
So that, for some people it might make them jittery, but it does focus attention, and the effect on overall health, by and large, is at the very least neutral, and it was one of your earlier points a few minutes ago mentioned that actually it may decrease other causes of death.
Yeah,
So
that's interesting. Yeah, the coffee thing, it's out there, and most people seem to really enjoy a cup of coffee. So sugar in the appropriate amounts actually does help your brain, so you got to keep eating the sugar.
Yeah, you got to have some sugar, otherwise your brain isn't able to function.
Okay, great information. Great to talk to you, Dr. Jeff Eubank. He's a neurologist with Riverside Methodist.